Hey everyone, I'm Chloi and I'm joined by Jose Otero. We're here talking about Metal Gear Survive, why it looks like a raging dumpster fire, and what it could do to win us over. So Jose, first, what is Metal Gear Survive?
I love that you lead off with that. So Gamescom 2016, Konami shocked the world by showing us that there is a future for Metal Gear, and this is the first project not led by Mr. Kojima.
Well, technically the first project was the Snake Eater Patchy slot machine, which I know we're all really excited about.
Okay, so the second one, not led by Kojima, but more importantly, this one is sort of a stealth co-op action game, apparently with troops getting pulled through a wormhole, brought to an alternate dimension. It's all kinds of weird, and in some ways it turned a lot of people off, understandably. Right. What does Metal Gear Survive have to do to win us over?
So the question is whether or not Konami can actually pull this off. Okay. Unless stealth is required or at least heavily encouraged, if it ends up just being this kind of presented as this like optional approach, it risks falling through, right? Like the trailer doesn't really focus much on that stealth element. Like we only know it's a stealth game because they said after the fact.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fair. So when I look at that trailer and I think of what Metal Gear Solid 5 was, it was this massive space that you were able to enter bases and objectives and approach them from different directions. And I think that ties lovely into what you're talking about, right? Like planning, communication. But here's the thing though, in that stealth was an option. You had the option to also go in guns blazing and have a chopper come through and just mow everyone down. So it remains to be seen to me, how much tech do you really have on your side? What's your disadvantage if you do go in loud? And also just, what is the enemy going to do? Like look at the way Metal Gear games have sort of had soldiers behave and how they radio it in, or how you can hold them up and they drop dog tags.
Yeah, you have these predictable enemy patterns that you're able to observe from afar and then act on. And if we have these like seemingly really erratic kind of zombie entities, right, that you're up against, like where does that element of strategy and planning come through, especially with the team?
Yeah, and that's the thing that worries me. Like it's in terms of we don't know what these guys can do. We just know they look like savage zombies sitting on the other side of a fence. Yeah. Which is like, okay, that's weird.
They actually remind me of the Skulls a little bit.
Oh, okay. So. No, I can see that. But there is that. The second thing to point out though is that this is very much a game that the gameplay is proven, right? Like if this is relying on Metal Gear Solid 5,
right? It's in the Fox engine, so we know that.
If it's those assets, but now expanding that gameplay, I think that just what we had a year ago is fine. Like we all really appreciated it, and in fact, I always felt like co-op was the thing that was missing for me.
Really interesting. I mean, yeah, we know that like the gameplay is proven in the Fox engine to be solid, to be fun. It's just whether or not it can pull off this structure, this four-player zombie survival thing.
Well, and they're promising like new melee combat from the trailer, at least. They're promising like a bow and arrow, like archery, I guess, which you weren't really turned.
No, I mean, like when I think, what do I want from the next Metal Gear game? I don't think bows and arrows. I don't think like if anything, it reminds me a little too much of Dead Rising. Like that's the vibe I got from the trailer. Was like I don't want to go in swinging around like a steel pipe, mowing down like a bunch of enemies. Yeah, like that's not Metal Gear to me.
And at that point, it would lose some of that identity. But I mean, so sources have told IGN that at least after Kojima's departure, what happened to the unit that was Koji Pro, a lot of those guys got moved around the company, but a small team was kept on to sort of figure out and work on DLC.
For Metal Gear Online.
Yeah, for Metal Gear Online. So we don't really know too, like the scope or the scale of this thing when you think about it. Like was it just a small project that someone decided to spin off and make into a larger sort of expansion? Or if this was the plan along. One thing we can bet on is that Hideo Kojima, this was nowhere in the plan for what this game was going to be. No. I'm pretty sure that's safe to say. But yet, I mean, it retains some of that absurdity. Like, why don't we talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were super turned off by the whole wormhole zombie thing. And I do want to point out that as absurd and stupid as it looks to me, it's not like wormholes weren't in Phantom Pain. You did get the wormhole upgrade for the Fulton device at some point. So, and again, like the skulls, like, and also like, I mean, going back, right? Like, Snake Eater literally had like a bee man and a ghost man. Like absurdity is not new to Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, or the game sort of taking it seriously instead of just sort of flinching in the face of, oh, this is really strange. Like Metal Gear Solid 4 was a game about old men fighting over the future of the world. Yeah. Like it was just really, really strange.
Right, and I mean that's one thing that we hear a lot of people complaining about with Survive, right, is that people are always saying like, oh, Metal Gear Solid, like it doesn't take itself seriously and this one plays it too straight-faced. But hasn't that always been what makes Metal Gear Solid so funny, is that it does take itself too seriously?
Yeah. I think though, for maybe those folks, it is, and I think this is kind of our last point that you and I agree on, is just that this this announcement and this reveal and this trailer, quite frankly, we're missing a key thing that every Metal Gear reveal
Right.
has had, which is character and a face to the series.
Right. I mean, Metal Gear has always been amazing at using, a compelling cast of characters to explore interesting themes. And without that, is it really a Metal Gear Solid game?
Yeah, and the same thing could be said of Kojima, having a front man who is sort of out there basically being the promoter and the person who says, this is my vision for what this is. And Metal Gear Solid Survive didn't have that. Like,
Yeah.
Konami doesn't have someone, sort of a public face at the helm.
Right. And even going back to the character thing, though, and this is all based on speculation, right? So it's like we only have this one trailer, but just from the looks of it, it seems like those were kind of like preset faces for Metal Gear Online, right? Like the assumption is that you can create
Yeah, you'll
your
have
own
like your
character and-
customized avatar.
right. And so without any strong characters, it's like there's nothing really to hold on to.
Yeah.
The way that it was in past Metal Gear games.
Which
And
could turn it into like Raccoon City or something like that, like just a spin-off kind of
God,
thing to
Operation
a larger
Raccoon
series.
City. And see,
That
it's
thing.
like, do I want Metal Gear to go in that direction? I don't think so.
So I think, Chloe, we're in agreement, right? I think you're absolutely right with the co-op stealth and the need to nail that. I think that we do agree that this gameplay engine is proven just based on what Phantom Pain was, and if you can find a way to expand that, that's something, in a cooperative way, that's something that will definitely get my interest going. And honestly, this game needs character, and right now it doesn't really have that. If they can pull those things off, I think Konami may be able to come out of this somewhat.
It's a really big maybe for me.
Okay.
But
fair enough.
we'll definitely see. It'll be a really interesting ride. So yeah, I mean, those are our thoughts on Metal Gear Survive. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And for everything Metal Gear, stay tuned to IGN.